Good evening everyone, welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we are going to talk about define scope. Now, just to link back everything that we have been discussing in last three videos. Last three videos we have seen on scope planning. In the first video, we just understood the difference between requirements and scope. Then in the second video, we talked about the two management plans and understood the contents of the management plans. And in the third video, we talked about requirements gathering. How do we go about gathering requirements if we have to do it, or if our business teams will do it, then we probably can assist or just make sure that requirements are correct and complete. And also, not just the techniques, but we also highlighted the use of requirements traceability matrix for the purpose of documenting these requirements. So now we are at a stage where we have the requirements, and the next step is to identify or determine that what will be the right approach to deliver these agreed upon requirements. Like we understood in the first video, that there can be many different ways to deliver a requirement, and each approach is generally different from the other approach, in the sense that it might take more time or less time, it may cost you more or less, and so on and so forth. So that's what we have to do here. Basically sit down with our team of experts, brainstorm on the requirements, and understand that what are the possible different ways in which these requirements can be delivered successfully. There are no as such new or specific tools and techniques that we can highlight here. It's just the brainstorming, facilitation, group discussions, some workshops that we have to conduct, so that we are able to determine what will be the preferred approach to deliver these requirements. Now, what we can discuss here is the output of this process, which is called as project scope statement. So once again, like any other project document that we have discussed so far, the format can vary, but we will highlight some of the key components of this document that one should take care of. So understand the purpose of the scope statement is not just to promote a common understanding of the scope, but also to get an agreement from the required stakeholders that this is what and how we will be delivering. So we want the first thing to be the objective, just to make sure that we have the right context, like what the project is all about, what the objective is all about. Then we should clearly document the major deliverables which our project will develop, produce, and using or with the help of these deliverables, the requirements will get fulfilled. For these deliverables, we should also have a clear-cut quantitative list of criterias, acceptance criterias or success criterias, that will ensure that there is no ambiguity in respect of getting the acceptance on these deliverables as and when they are completed. Then we can also mention some specific constraints or assumptions that we may have taken in order to fulfill the requirements. There might be some assumptions that let's say, for example, the licenses will be provided to us by the client side, or there are certain constraints that we can only have the trial license for 30 days, so we have to do it within 30 days. So any such constraints or assumptions should be documented. Now, very important component of this document, which is out of scope, or you can say any exclusions. See, it's very important to make sure that we have clearly highlighted that these are the things which we will not do. Why is it important? Remember that scope is a boundary. Now, it's not really a boundary, like you can't see it or feel it. So you have to basically sort of make an understanding that what's in scope and what's out of scope. So if you have defined that what's in scope, you have just done half the work. Until and unless you don't define what's out of scope, you cannot really create that boundary. And it's not about setting a boundary, I mean, it's more about safeguarding our interest. Because believe me when I say this, that if you do not have a clear cut understanding of what is out of scope, sooner or later you will find yourself in a position where the customer comes asking for something, and no matter how much you try to explain them that it's out of scope, they will insist and they will ultimately make you do something that was never agreed as part of the scope, but the customer thought it was part of the scope and now you have to deliver it. So in order to protect our interest, in order to make sure that we don't end up in such situation, it's important that we highlight out of scope, that these are the things that we are not going to do. And if we have clearly mentioned it, then obviously this document will also be given to the customer and their agreement will be taken on it. So it is obvious that if they have no objections or if they have not raised any concerns, then they are fine with the fact that these are the things which are out of scope. Now some of you may say that, Tushar, how do we go and define all the things that are out of scope? I understand that you cannot. Based on your past experience, we expect you to document at least those things which you know that we cannot deliver. Maybe let's say there are 10 things that I know I cannot deliver, so I'll just mention them in out of scope. Quite possible that customer comes asking for the 11th thing which we never documented in out of scope, and we have to, or we end up delivering that 11th thing. Fine, it's okay, it will be a lesson for the next time. But my main advantage here would be that at least customer cannot come asking for those 10 things that I have already documented as out of scope. Okay, 11th you come and ask, okay, and we tried, I mean, whatever the outcome is, for next time it will be a lesson and we will document 11 things in out of scope. Then possibly the customer can come asking for the 12th thing. Fine, but at least 11 things I am safeguarded against, which is what the key advantage is here. So it's utmost important that we not only just define what's in scope, as in what are the major deliverables that we will be delivering, but along with that we also clearly highlight that these are the things which are out of scope. That's when you have really defined your scope, as in the boundary, highlighting what's in the scope and what's not in the scope. So that's all for this video. I hope you were able to understand the importance of this document. In our next video, we'll be talking about how to go and create a work breakdown structure, which of course is a very important artifact and planning step in our journey. Take care. Bye. That's all for today.